Hello guys, my name is Will and welcome to one more video about Path of Exile 2. In this one I want to talk about everything that is wrong in Path of Exile 2 at the moment and they really need to improve.
Don't forget to subscribe.
So one of the first things is crafting. Crafting, especially for players that are just casual players and not hardcore players, if you don't play 10 hours per day on this game, it's better to invest your resources in the market. Right? Because when you reach the end game especially, you will have some exalteds, but you don't have that much that you can craft a piece of gear. You can invest, you can always risk that, and imagine you get a white one or another piece of gear with already a few stats. This one already had 6, but imagine you have with 6 stacks and you need to waste 2 more exalteds to get better gear. It's not worth it, because you will not, if you don't play that much, you will not get much resources and will be much easier for you to invest these exalteds on the market. On the market, especially when you just reach the end game and you finish scroll 3, you with just 1 or 2 exalteds, I'm pretty sure, 100% sure, you will find something better for you. Alright, even if you spend between 1 to 5 exalteds, you will get something better for you and will be a huge upgrade. Alright, if you invested those 5 exalteds on crafting some gear, you have the risk to lose it, okay? Of course, you can maybe create something better, but it is always very risky, and with those exalteds you can just search for the right piece of gear you want, or at least almost the perfect piece of gear you need to get a huge improvement. And I'm saying this especially for casual players, because if you have more time to play, it means you're gonna farm more, you'll have more exalteds and other crafting resources like divine orbs and all of these, and will be easier for you to craft the gear, and it means you are getting more loot or chances to craft a better gear. So this is the first point where Path of Exile 2 is wrong and really needs to improve and solve this issue, because all of these resources are not supposed to be used just to buy and sell gear, but to craft our gear and make it more interesting. Alright, that's why we have all of these resources, is to craft gear, not to use only to buy new stuff. Then the other thing that is wrong with Path of Exile 2 is divines. Divines are useless in general. They are really good for players with a lot of currency, but besides that they are only used in the market. And probably most of the players, they only use divines on the market, because imagine you are playing endgame, you reach D15, and with one divine you can buy the perfect piece of gear for you. But you're not gonna spend a divine or 2 or 3 or 4 where you could get some really good gear, because even those mythic pieces of gears, they're like 40-50 divines, so they are really expensive for most of the players. So only those players with like 100-200 divines that don't really need much, they're gonna use the divines to craft some gear and then sell it on the market and get it even more divines. But besides that, you're not gonna spend divines like that. You're gonna spend those divines to get more and better gear, will be exactly the same thing like exalteds. But on the case of the exalteds, probably you can risk some exalteds, but you don't want to risk a divine that could be much worth it for you to use on the market. Other thing that is really wrong in Path of Exile 2 is Omens. Omens came in the same situation like divines and exalted orbs. Some of them, they can be useful and you can use them, like this one you can use it with the exalted orbs and that's fine, but the more expensive ones and the really useful, like the ones you can use with fall orbs and make it more even more unpredictable, those omens will not be usable by casual players. Alright, they will be usable by a hardcore player because they can afford for more currency and they probably just searching to craft better gear. But the casual player, they don't have much resources, so they're not gonna spend these omens just like that. Alright, they just can't. Other issue is the endgame content. So they already added some endgame contents. They had the wisps, there's some more stuff, they changed the maps, the towers are much better, but still there's not much we can do on the end game. After reaching the end game, this is all you need to do, is clearing the map, doing towers, doing maps, clearing the corruption, and basically that's it. And then you will do some Pinnacle Bosses, but there's not much you can get from this. It's just doing maps and maps over and over again, and that's basically it. And while you're doing the maps, it's just clearing monsters, and eventually when you get that strong, it gets very repetitive, because most of the times you will be doing that and not just killing bosses. And if you are doing map bosses, they will be easy as well. If you can do a T15 easy, you're gonna kill map bosses easy as well. Only the Pinnacle Bosses and the +4 will give you some challenge, but even if you not are that strong, they will be easy as well. But that's part of it if you got that far, and if you crafted your gear and you get really good gear, that should be easy to do eventually. But there comes another problem, which is the bosses, alright? So bosses and Pinnacle Bosses are the top of the content. It's the content that everyone aims to do, especially the +4 difficulty. But here comes another problem, which is the loot. Most of the bosses, they don't give a big loot, alright? Bosses, especially when you start doing your end game, they will be difficult. Alright, so there's not much rewards you can get from a boss, and after defeating one of those bosses, especially when you reach +4 difficulty and you struggle a little bit at the beginning to defeat those bosses, sometimes what you get from there is nothing. Alright, they will give you some rare gear, maybe a mythic or a unique item, and probably that unique item is not worth anything at all. So that's one of the issues. They need to bring better loot for the bosses, because that's one of the main contents endgame, and we really want to do that. We want to receive a good reward after doing that endgame boss. As I said about endgame content, there's a new mechanics they added, like the wisps and some other stuff, like the exiles as well. Those are it's a really nice concept, but they just feel meaningless. Alright, most of the players, when they reach the endgame content and they start getting better gear, if you are doing a T15, most of them, they don't even notice there's a Exile between all of those monsters. They kill it and they will be like, oh, there was Exile there, yeah. Because they are just like that, they are easy to do. They will come to you near the monsters, you'll be just farming, spamming your skills, and eventually you kill that Exile as well, and probably you don't even notice you killed Exile. You will only notice if he dropped something better that he's not used to drop, but probably if you are that strong and you're killing your maps really easy, you're probably not gonna notice there was Exile there. Wisps are a bit different. It's a nice concept as well, they are fun to do, but they are not worth it. You're gonna spend more time following the Wisp and killing that boss, rare, whatever, but the drop that will get you, the drops will not be that much better. That will make worth your time to spend following that wisp and killing that monster where the wisps goes. Yeah, it's not really worth it. They also came with the strong boxes. There's some strong boxes. There's one where you can gamble your resources and stuff like that, and you can get some pretty cool stuff. But besides that one, all of them, they really feel a bit meaningless, because they don't give you much good stuff that will make it worth it spending your time there, and not just farming another map for more stuff and more drops and resources. So with this comes another big issue, which is the loot. The loot that is dropping all over the game until you reach the end game is not that much and is not that great. So sometimes players feel a big struggle when they are leveling up to find new and better gear. And that's one of the main reasons why players move to Last Epoch, because the gear drop is much better. And some players, or most of them, they just want to relax, play the game, get better gear, focus on their builds, and forget about the big search of the loot. In Path of Exile 2 at the moment, everyone needs to do a big search about loot. They need to farm a lot, search for the best gear they can get, the best drop of body armor, boots and stuff like that. And sometimes it's really easy to find the gear that you really need, and that leads to what I talked about at the beginning. Spending your exalted orbs in the market makes all of this really easier. Okay, it's much easier to get the gear you need from the market rather than just keep farming until you get the gear that you really need. And the last issue I want to talk about is about defenses. Defenses in this game are really basic. You have evasion and energy shield, and that's basically it. Evasion will make you dodge those big attacks that can one-shot you, and energy shield, you can build a big energy shield like 10k, 15k or something like that, and prevent you to die from those big hits. But besides that, if you are playing with armor or building the maximum HP you can, they're not gonna prevent you to die most of the times. Even if you have a big amount of armor, that will just reduce some of the damage, but if you don't dodge those skills that hit hard on your character, you're still gonna be one-shotted. So that's one of the other issues they need to solve. Because if we only have two options regarding the defenses we're gonna build, this will reduce the options for builds as well. Because this way we are gonna look for only builds based on evasion rating or energy shield, and that way we don't really want to build based on armor or HP, because those builds will not be so strong like evasion or energy shield. So they really need to create a balance between all of these and maybe keep the evasion and energy shield like they are, because they are working pretty well, and buff a little bit HP and armor because they are not being so strong at this point. These are a couple of things in my opinion that I think are wrong at the moment, and I really hope Path of Exile 2 will correct all of these issues and make this game great like it was when released. There's a lot of players moved to Last Epoch recently because they offer much better content for a casual player, and most of the casual players they moved because of these reasons. They want to find better loot, they want to make their leveling up easier and less stressful, they want just a good leveling experience, a good endgame experience without having to play for hours and hours this game just to get better loot so they can be able to progress on the game and do the endgame content and all of that. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Comment below what you think about this, if you agree with the things I said or if you disagree. I'll be happy to discuss about this, and I hope you enjoyed this video. Don't forget to leave that like and subscribe to my channel to follow more content about Path of Exile 2. Thank you so much for watching and see you next time.